many of us have ever heard the phrase, it takes a community to raise a child? It is absolutely, without a doubt, true. I can bring a child up in my house. I can give him or her my values. I can tell them everything they need to know, everything we believe as a family. I can get them on their knees. I can teach them how to pray, so on and so forth. But they're going out into this world and they are going to be influenced by men, women, boys, girls, and all the people that they encounter, all the billboards that they see, all of the everything, right? Our societies, our cultures also influence us. And so we as a community, when we see children in the street, someone else's child, we're going to run in and we're going to grab that child. If we see, I know my mom, when she saw kids doing something not right in the neighborhood, she went and she told them. She'd sometimes grab them by the ears and say, get out of there. Other kids, I think she even caught a child shoplifting once and she pulled him right up to the counter. So that's the community. I remember my sister Kathy or I would be playing down the street and my mother would get a phone call from Mrs. Brunner who'd say, I saw your girls doing such and such here. So the community, whether it was good or bad, always had an eye on the children. And that is what we needed. My mom couldn't do it alone. My dad couldn't. My mom and dad couldn't even do it together, right? The two of them needed everyone in the neighborhood, everyone that saw us to help raise us, which is so important to also, by the way, surround your kids with people who also believe like you believe. But we can't always do that. And this is actually going to quickly take not necessarily a trajectory change, but I'm going to apply this phrase onto marriage. It takes a community to save a marriage. Your daughter, your son-in-law, they're having a struggle. Your neighbor is struggling with their marriage. You see them fighting, or you just see them behaving in a way that they're not anywhere near divorce, but they are kind of needing help. It takes a community to help that couple understand how to have a happy marriage. There have been times where I know you're not as bold as me, but where I've seen couples maybe fight or say something and I've had an opportunity, strangers, Walmart, whatever, to either privately talk to one of them or to talk to them both together and say, it's just really not worth it. I do marriages. And I will tell you, more often than not, people actually listen to me because they don't want to fight. They usually are upset to be in whatever, phase that they're in or the fight that they're in. Sometimes it's people that I know and I'll say, hey, can we have dinner together? Or you want to meet for lunch? It takes a community to save a marriage. So many of us don't know that, let alone remember it if we ever did know it. And too many of us, I've seen people go, oh, I saw Sally and Fred fighting and oh, that was bad. I don't think that their marriage is going to make it. And then I'd say, well, did you say anything to him? Well, it's not my business. Really? Because if you saw someone doing drugs in your backyard, would it not be your business? If you saw someone on the street hurting someone else, my mom saw a man, I love my mom, so I bring her up all the time, but my mom and I were driving together in front of a Barnes & Noble, and we saw a man actually hit his wife. We didn't know if it was a wife or a girlfriend. My mom, in her 70s, marched right up to that car, looked at that girl, and she said, are you okay? The guy looked at her like, he was of one of those cultures where they believe the men should overpower the women, and they did not want to listen to any woman's input, especially not a 70-year-old woman watching this on the outside. But she walked up to that woman and she looked in that car window and said, you okay? You let me know if you're not. And then she looked at the guy and said, you treat her right. It was awesome, I have to tell you. But all of us would probably say we'd intervene in those cases. You'd intervene if you saw a child running or screaming. You'd intervene if you saw someone getting kidnapped. You'd intervene if you saw someone hurt. You'd intervene if you'd see someone bleeding. Well, guess what? These marriages are bleeding and you have a responsibility. And don't think it's just me telling you this. You will have to answer to God. Yeah, I said it. I know I'm trying to be funny there. But when you do meet God, and he is going to say, you saw that couple struggling. You didn't say anything. Why not? I need to point out to you that marriage is a community effort. When you see a young couple or an old couple fighting, you see a marriage saying, I'm planning on leaving. You see a man having an affair or a woman having an affair. You intervene. You tell them it is wrong and you can't do this. You get them together. You don't keep it a secret. You tell the other spouse. Well, there are times where you have to be careful how you do that. Call me. I will let you know how to do that. Email me, Christine@breakfastwithbacon.com. I will be in touch with you. I'll help you. You don't all have the skill sets that I do, but I don't have access to the people that you do. Be that community, because not a single couple goes into marriage thinking, I'm going to try this out, see how it is. Maybe one of those TV shows where they're doing it for the camera, say, 30 days, you get 6 weeks and decide. That's a joke. That's not a real marriage. But in real life, no one's like, I'm going to try out this marriage thing. You give me something, I give you something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll just go on and try the next marriage. Every marriage goes into it hoping, at least, that it's going to go for a lifetime, not realizing that they have more power in that decision than they really do. So you have your responsibility as a community member to walk alongside them and tell them, A, what they're doing wrong, B, what they're doing right, to encourage them and to guide them. And if you do find a couple where one has left the other, you still are not exempt. Go and tell that couple as well, you know what? I'm here with you. We struggled. We were separated. We were actually legally divorced. We got back together. And I know you can too. For your wife, for your children, for God, for the community. So that's the message I wanted to pass on to you today. It takes a community to raise a family. It takes a community to save a marriage. And I want you to know that your voice matters, even if it's not yours isn't the marriage we're talking about. After all, wouldn't you want someone to help you if you were struggling? I know I would. So go on out, be a good servant leader, a good community member, and help save the marriage of anyone who you see getting hurt, anyone whose marriage you see is bleeding. Stop the bleeding, help with the bandages. Let's get that marriage healed. God bless.